Okay, here's another one of our online mentoring programs, and we're working with young Valiant with one of our interns, Christine Davis. And Valiant's just now got to the point where she's working trails with the subject already gone. We're not using fire trail motivation any longer, and she's doing a great job of picking up odor and sticking with it. Now, what I'd like to do is go over some of the issues that I see here, good quality work and anything that might need to be adjusted slightly. And right off the bat, Christine does a great job of getting Valiant out of the car, getting her equipment ready and everything ready to go. I like the fact that Valiant already actually has her harness on, which makes things great when she picks up the track and then is ready to go like she does right here. Now, this is one of the things that can happen relatively quickly. As soon as the dog comes out of the car, they have an idea either where the track is or where the scent article is, and they want to go right to it. If you have to waste your time to stop the dog and put on equipment before that actually occurs, then sometimes that can be a little bit demotivating. So I like to have the equipment on the dog before we actually start. Christine does a fantastic job of getting Valiant going. I love how Valiant takes odor, establishes the track, and Christine does a fantastic job of just letting all the leash go, and she doesn't start actually moving and following until she can articulate something to the effect that Valiant actually has odor and is following it. That's when actually Christine starts following. So she's got a good foundation going already. She's all the way at the end of this 30-foot lead, and this gives Valiant plenty of room to work with. And contrary to popular belief, more distance from the dog is better than a closer distance, because when you're too close to the dog, every time you move, you're going to have opposite reaction because of that leash tension. So the dog moves one way, suddenly there's tension, and the handler has to follow. And in this situation, it's completely the opposite, because Christine is so far away. It's a lot easier on the dog to move freely on their own and using self-discovery to pick up any subtle nuances in the trail. Now, obviously, Valiant's doing a fantastic job here. The track is super easy. We've got great body language. We can say that she's on the trail, the person that we started her on. So some of the things that we can say right off the bat are a relatively elevated pointy tail. We've got good, consistent direction of travel without a lot of fluctuation. And we do have an alternating headset, but it doesn't change much more from shoulder level to ground level. It's kind of alternating back and forth. Now, when the scent is strong and easy, that heads up a little higher, and her speed is a little bit faster. As the scent gets a little bit more difficult, if we get into a sunny area or a change of surface, then of course she's going to drop her nose a little bit and work a little bit slower and closer to the ground. Now, one of the things I really like is how quiet Christine is on this track. She's not putting in her 2 cents with the dog. She's not distracting with any unwanted verbiage. She's just staying back in the background and following. And this is what handlers should do: resist the temptation to talk to your dog. Really, the only time the dog needs any talking to is if there's a correction that's needed or some motivation because the dog's unsure about something. But for the most part, in our style, silence is the way of the handler. And one of the things that's starting to happen is Valiant is starting to go into some proximity alerts. Notice how that head goes high. All of a sudden we get a quick change of pace. This is all due to little drifts of scent on the wind that give the dog an idea that they're actually starting to get close. Now, what's telling us that this is a far alert, or one that's kind of far away, is the fact that Valiant has to go back to the track and doesn't exclusively work the air scent. So we had a quick little puff of wind, quick little air scent, what we call a far alert, and then Valiant is back to the track. And right then we just got another one. So now we're getting close to the quick road crossing, and Valiant's going to throw a great proximity alert and then also get a good visual on the subject. And because our subject is stuck back in the woods, silhouette broken up just a little bit, she's a little bit unsure to begin with, but Christine does a great job with incredibly good timing to motivate and get that dog to commit. So as soon as she saw a little hesitation, she gave a good verbal motivation, and we end up this track on a really nice high. Super ending, super track, really, really good handling, fantastic GA canine fundamentals. So I'm going to address one little flaw that we need to work on, and this is what we call the scent inventory. In other words, letting the dog get a chance to get all the odors in the area before we start a track. When the dog is actually starting to work tracks with the person already gone, right from the beginning we want to start introducing the scent inventory. That means we take the dog out of the car, we walk them around the search area. You know, it doesn't have to be very big, but just in the general area of where we're parked and where people have been doing their thing. We want the dog to get a chance to get all of the odors that are in the area, know who's here, but more importantly, know who's not. Very, very quickly, the dogs begin to learn what we call the missing member. In other words, the scent that's actually missing from the inventory of people at that are present at the time. It's a fantastic way to start, but we do this through the scent inventory. So, Christine, what I want you to do here in the future is every time we get Valiant out of the car before we start, give her at least 2 to 3 to 5 minutes walking around the area before we get over there to that scent article and start. But overall, fantastic job.